Hey everybody, I'm Jennifer McGinley. I'm CEO of JLM Strategic Communications, and I wanted to get on today and talk to everybody and give some tips and tricks and answer any questions you may have about moving forward with your organization and the importance of clearly communicating to serve your audience and help others as well. And I brought in a very dear friend and colleague of mine, Susan Rose. And Susan, why don't you talk a little bit about your experience and background and how it really applies to everything that's going on currently?
Right. Well, thanks, Jennifer. Thanks for having me. So, as you said, my name is Susan Rose, and I am a writer and a content strategist, and I mentor small businesses on communicating with their audiences all the time. And that's really every single thing we do is about how we communicate with our clients and our teams and everybody around us. And so it's always a really relevant topic, and in different situations, how you do that the best possible way is what people ask me about.
Right.
So that's where we are right now.
Absolutely. And I think what I wanted to bring up too was a little bit of the back and forth we had on Sunday morning.
Absolutely.
And you had said, Jen, I channeled you. And so you had a really positive outcome. And I want you to tell everybody about the wonderful result you can have when you have a very kind, authentic, strategic approach to dealing with things that are hard in an organization and a small business such as yours and your husband's.
Right. So, yeah, because there are really two different kinds of communication. There's the outward facing communication to your clients and prospects, and then there's the inward communication to your team and your employees. So in addition to what I do, my husband owns a massage center, and we have 18 employees. Anybody who's listening to the news knows that these types of businesses are being forced to close down right now. So it's a very, very stressful situation for our employees who live paycheck to paycheck and have a very uncertain future right now. So we wanted to make sure, in addition to taking care of our clients, that we're taking care of our employees and reassuring them and letting them know what was going on. So we called a staff meeting on Sunday, which is basically the only time we can ever have one because we're open so often. But we brought the whole team together to just talk about what our plan was, to tell them, just share very openly what we were doing to make sure that the business weathered the storm, including the loans and things we're taking out, what our plan for taking care of them was in terms of sick leave and adjusting hours and all that kind of stuff, to give them some assurance that they were going to be okay, and of course opened it up for questions. And they had some really wonderful questions about exactly how the process would work, not only just in if they need to stop working, but in handling clients if somebody came in who they felt shouldn't be there that day, and how we were going to handle those kinds of things. So we had very clear policies already in place for that meeting to talk to everybody, but we also got their engagement in what they were hoping they would see. What I haven't told you since that, so that meeting went very well. Everybody left it feeling really great. But we had more conversations since then because the situation has been changing since then. And they've come up with some interesting ideas, have put solutions on the table that we hadn't thought of necessarily. So we're all working together. It's a very open dialogue with our team right now about what is happening. And it's really, I already see it bringing everybody closer
together. Right.
Yeah, I just found out that one of our therapists has a roommate who's very seriously at risk, and so he wasn't sure. He's like, do I need to quit my job right now to take care of like these are the kinds of things people are worrying about right now. So one of our other employees invited him to come live with her until everything is over, just rent free.
Unbelievable.
You don't need to quit your job. We can take care of your roommate and just come live in my spare room for a while. So this is the kind of thing that starts happening when you are very open, when you're not trying to hide anything, when you're not running away from a very hard situation. Because these conversations, some of what we've had to talk about is not easy at all.
I know, but I feel like you and your husband have been brave and been empathetic and clearly communicating what is expected of everybody moving forward.
Yeah.
And to me, that is really the win-win situation of proper strategic communications.
I agree.
I want to congratulate you and your husband for doing that and for your generosity with your employees. I think the warmth and caring and the bonding that you said was going on, you just, that will come back to you tenfold, and it was done in such a genuine, kind way that it's just, I wish you the absolute best success moving forward with that.
Thank you.
I think that's, I think so important.
Yeah, it is. It's really the thing that matters. It's the only thing that matters right now. And
yeah.
I think that when we go talking about communication in general, like that's the underlying thing. The only thing that matters right now is that we're all taking care of each other.
Yeah, I agree
Period.
with you. I absolutely agree with you.
So.
Yeah. And tell me a little bit about your background so that people understand you're coming at this very well educated and have expertise as
I do have expertise in this. So I have, in the last 30 years, I have an undergrad in journalism, but I also have a graduate degree in public affairs. And I did a lot of this kind of communication for several years for the government. So I was doing not just the risk, but helping agencies or my client agencies communicate with communities that were in a very difficult situation. They were very afraid of what was happening and what the outcome was going to be. So I spent several years figuring out how do you deliver this message in a way that is honest, is helpful, and compassionate. So, and I saw some things that I don't want to model.
In fact, one of the questions was on LinkedIn. We had put a post, you and I put a post this morning on LinkedIn saying, if anybody has questions, please ask. And to me, that's where I feel like my expertise is helpful, because if somebody asks me a question, I can kind of dig deep into what I've dealt with in the past and help people and serve people. But it was an email a colleague of mine got, and I think somebody had posted it online. The gentleman hadn't reached out to this business in 7 years, got an email saying, oh, by the way, this is what we're going to do. And kind of this is not how businesses run, that you don't not communicate with somebody for 7 years as a business owner and expect them to feel cared about and feel loyal to you when they haven't reached out before. I think it's being really clear and very consistent that, as we were saying, just because we're going through something difficult right now actually has nothing to do with a proper strategic communications program. You should always be reaching out and clearly communicating to all of your employees, your donors, your other constituents and shareholders on a regular basis, so that you communicate something that's not so easy. It doesn't jar them, that they're like, oh, this is our normal communications process, and I've been in the loop all along. I think there's more comfort there. I think there's more loyalty there. I think employees, first of all, feel more cared about too when their higher ups don't just come at them when there's an emergency, that they're listening all the time and they're communicating consistently.
Right, and that's, so I should probably say that we talk to our employees about stuff constantly. This is not something that's new. It's magnified, it's bigger, the consequences, or the outcome, whatever, however you want to call it, like there's more at stake here because of what's going on.
Right.
But we talk to them all the time. It's interesting in that example too about the email to a customer that hadn't been there in years.
Yes.
That's such a good point. It's not that this company sent out an email about what they were doing. It was that this person hadn't heard from them. So we have on our business, we've got 5,000 people on our list. We do not see all of those people all the time. There are many people we haven't seen in years. But there are communications that we send to our entire list, so that these people, when they got, the measures we're taking, that wasn't the first time they had heard from us in a year.
Exactly.
They hear from us regularly. So, that's really important. So that's a good point, is that talk to people.
Right. And too, and I think I know some other people that are really good with email lists, and that you clean them up.
Mm-hmm.
You make sure, hey, do you want to still be on our list, so that they're invested as your audience anyway, so that they're not surprised when you reach out, because you've already said, I still want to be a loyal part of your audience on a regular basis. Just, cleaning those emails, being aware of who's out there and what they need and what their struggles are, or what they need to be communicated about. And it's not speaking at them, it is speaking with them in a very genuine, comforting, caring way. And I think, a lot of the emails, I know a business around me didn't say anything, and their first communication is, we're closing at 5:00, as mandated by whatever county in the state. So, and I encourage everybody. In fact, I looked through my email, my posts on LinkedIn. It was a month ago that I had started talking about the need for planning. And I think that businesses need to heed the advice of the professionals, that the real professionals and experts on these topics, that crisis or any type of strategic communications planning needs to be done on a constant basis. I think it needs to be edited, reworked. I think certain things need to be practiced on a regular basis, so that everybody's very comfortable. And I really, really hope that this is the time that people kind of get it and it clicks, and that there's such a comfort in planning ahead. It's like planning ahead for an event. When you know exactly what is expected of everybody on your team, you know the wording that you're going to be using, the messaging that you're going to be using, there isn't such an upheaval. And like you said, you've been consistently communicating with your audience and your employees, so that it wasn't out of the blue, and it's just another weekly or monthly meeting that you're having, and, oh, by the way, these are the topics that are going to be covered today, so that everybody always knows what's going on. I don't like organizations that work in silos. I just don't think there's any benefit to it. I think I always say I'm an overseer. When I was working inside an organization, I wanted everybody to know what was going on. And I know there are times that information has to be very carefully communicated if it's confidential, but you know who those people are, and then you can communicate it a little bit differently or more appropriately for other staff or employees. But
I know I'd like I've seen a lot of people throughout my career, in the different environments I've worked in, who they're so afraid of saying the wrong thing too, that they won't say anything. And you want to be careful, and you want to be compassionate. And I think if all else you're being compassionate and empathetic, you might still say the wrong thing, but it's not going to be devastating, probably.
Right. And I think if you're being authentic and real about it, they're going to understand.
They do. But saying nothing because you're just afraid of saying the wrong thing, it backfires every single time. That's when people don't trust you. I was just thinking as you were talking of this story, because I got an email from my financial planner today. It was, the email with everything that's going on to inform people. But again, as you were saying, he's very consistent about communicating, and his emails are very chatty and personal, very high touch. And so this one was still the same. I mean, it's like, here's what you need to know. There's some kind of serious stuff going on, but hopefully this will help alleviate your mind, or whatever I said. It was just very well done. So kudos, Jason Howe. I told him I'd call him out on LinkedIn.
That's awesome. And I just got us on Facebook Live too, and I unfortunately I'm not very savvy with technology as I should be, and some things are not working as well today.
That's right.
I just want to tell everybody, yes, I'm JLM Strategic Communications CEO Jennifer McGinley, and I have a dear friend, Susan Rose, on with me. She is a marketing expert and really content creator. Plus, her background is working in government affairs or public affairs and journalism as well. So we wanted to come on today to really support and serve everybody out there, that communications is not a crisis situation, crisis only situation, where we all need to constantly communicate with everybody that we serve, whether it's our employees, our clients, our shareholders and stockholders and donors, so that everybody knows what's going on, so that when something challenging happens or comes up, everybody knows what's going on and how they need to move forward in a very clear, authentic, strategic way. I think that's the most important thing.
I agree completely. I always love what
Yeah.
you say, like, clear, concise, and compassionate.
Yeah.
And that's really, remember
Yeah.
those three things and you'll be good and do it all the
And
time.
I think especially now, and all the time, I think all leaders need to lead with their heart a little bit more, with empathy, and really being a very good listener. I think, and that really, that caring approach is really paramount right now. And I think if you move forward using your gut and your intuition and really understand your employees and your, those that you're serving, I just think things will be okay. And you can't just all of a sudden start communicating with everybody because something challenging has happened. This should have been done a year or 2 or 3 years ago, and it's always something that's edited and worked on.
But now's a good time to start. If you haven't been doing it, don't let that not be a way not to start. No time like the present to build those relationships.
Practice.
It is practice.
Always practice. But yes, I know you have another call to get on to, and another group to help too. And thank you so much for your time. And I hope everybody's getting some information. If you have any questions, reach out to Susan Rose. And can you give your website?
It's susanrose.net.
Great. And I'm jlmstrategiccommunications.com. We're both on LinkedIn. If you have any questions, follow up with us. We're happy to help. Take care.
Absolutely. Bye.